How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball and welcome back to another episode of Review the Premier League, as a review show of obviously Predict the Premier League, where me and Sim go head to head in predicting Premier League outcomes. As you can see in the top corner of your screen, it is currently 72 points to Sim, 73 points for me, and the way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man, once you pick that man, you can't pick them for the rest of the season. It's 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. Let's get into the weekend's action, starting off at Selhurst Park. It was a 0-0 draw. Crystal Palace against Fulham. Sim went 1-0 to Palace. I went 2-0 to Palace. But Palace just could not break down this Fulham side. I didn't see much of this game, to be honest, but I heard that Palace maybe had slightly the better of it, but much an even game. Yeah, ball draw, not many chances at both ends. I think the XG probably cements that. 0.3 to Palace, 0.59 to Fulham. It seems like it was one of those games where not much was going on. I think both teams will probably take the point, albeit it'll probably a better point for Fulham than it is for Palace. Both still in mid-table, but 10th versus 11th. But look, Fulham, I think a good away point for them. But Palace, they'll take it, but it's not like they probably want more. They want to get 3 points. Yeah, they want to get the 3 points. Yeah. Moving on to Luton against Wolves. It finished 1-1. Sim went 2-0. I went 1-0, both to Wolves. I did say actually in the preview that I was actually going to go 1-1, and I changed it to 1-0 to Wolves in the last seconds. But in the first half, I felt like Luton were the better team and probably had the most chances. Wolves didn't even have a shot off target, never mind on target in the first half. And you're thinking, are Luton going to get their first win of the season? Then Wolves get a man sent off, and Wolves started to create a few chances after that. Pedro Neto scoring a really good goal. And then I was thinking maybe I am on my way to 5 points, but then they give away a silly penalty and finish 1-1. Yeah, and look, for Luton, to be fair, I said it last week against Fulham. They lost 1-0, but they've been improving week on week, and I think this represents another improvement for them because they've dominated the game. They had more shots, they had the better chances, but again, the qualities are still lacking. The only way they could score was a really dodgy penalty. I thought, again, deflected up onto his arm, a really harsh decision from the referee to give the penalty for handball there. So Luton may be a bit lucky considering that they were playing against 10 men. They went 1-0 down against 10 men. That's when Neto scored. So that wasn't a great situation to be in. They did get it back, so credit, that's their first point in the Premier League. So I think there are small incremental improvements for Luton, but still, I think they've only scored, 2 goals this season, both penalties. I know they got a goal against West Ham as well, which was a late consolation, but still struggling to find that quality in front of goal. And I think that's going to be the biggest killer when it comes to them staying in the league. Yeah, but it must have been a killer blow for them. Wolves go down to 10 men after they've been dominating and they still can't go and get that win. It's got to be a massive frustration for Luton. Great goal for Neto, who's continuing his good form and showing maybe he's getting back to his best. Yeah, that was a stunning goal, to be honest. Moving on to the Etihad, Man City beat Nottingham Forest by 2-0. Sim went for 3-0. I went for 3-1. You know what? It could have been 3-0 if Rodri didn't get sent off early in that second half. I mean, Man City absolutely tore Nottingham Forest apart in the early stages of this game. And that red card for Man City really ruined the game for them. Well, it didn't ruin the game because they walk away with 3 points, but it ruined the flow that they had in the game. And I thought, stupid red card for Rodri to give away. Completely needless, to be honest. I don't know what he's doing at that stage of the game. Pep was really angry with him after the game. And he has a right to be, because Nottingham Forest, they grew in that game after that red card, and they couldn't really get the ball in the back of the net. But if they did come up against a team with a bit better quality, then they could have come unstuck a bit in this game. Yeah, obviously when you're playing with 10 men, it's always going to be a bit more difficult. But I think they managed the game as good as you could when you're playing with 10 men, and you got to just look for breaks. To be fair, even with 10 men, they had a few chances to make it 3, albeit Forest were the ones maybe with the impetus, especially being 2-0 down as well. But it was very easy for City in the first half. You thought it was going to be a procession. It's going to be 3-4, 5-0 potentially with the way things were going in that first half. But I think what Pep will be most angry with is that he's now going to miss the game at the Emirates, which is a very big game in a couple of weeks' time, which he's not going to be available for because of a moment of petulance. And that's not something you associate Rodri with. He's usually a very calm player, doesn't really rise to that kind of bait. But Gibbs White kind of got him into that situation and got his hands on his neck and forced that red card situation. So very disappointing from City's point of view that happened. But again, still 6 out of 6 wins though. It's still
no stopping this Man City side. I can't remember what the record is for most consecutive wins at the beginning of the season, but it's going to take some stopping. And now Calvin Phillips maybe going to get a run out potentially for the first time in a year.
I think he will, to be honest. I think he will. He came on in this game after he got sent off. I thought he was okay, fairly good when he did come on. But I think the player of the day was Phil Foden. I thought Phil Foden was breathtaking that first half.
Exceptional player and a great goal as well. Yeah. Really good volley. And look, even with 10 men, was there any real? They weren't any real serious danger of dropping points.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on to Brentford, they lost 3-1 at home to Everton, which was a shock this weekend. 1-1. Tim went for. I went for 2-1 to Brentford. But credit to Everton, they played a really good game in this game. Decore carrying on his good form and his good goal scoring form. I think he's probably Everton's top goal scorer within the last year or 6 months. He seems to be finding the net. I would say regular occurrence, but probably a regular occurrence for an Everton player. I'll put it that way. But Brentford yet to win a game at home this season. Really poor display, their worst display of the season by far. I thought they were terrible in this game, and Everton took advantage.
Yeah, and it could have been even more. I think Brentford would maybe come away with that feeling a bit lucky that it was only 3-1 because Everton had more chance on the break, and it was a real uncharacteristic sloppy performance from Brentford, lacking in energy. Everton, it wasn't just a case of a smash and grab. Like, they were dominating a lot of the phases of play, maybe not the ball all the time, but they were definitely dominating like a lot of the attacks, and they seemed so much more dangerous throughout the game. Decore gives them the lead very early on, and against the run of play, Brentford got back in the game. I'm thinking, because Everton lost a lot of leads this season, and you're thinking, have Everton, is this going to be another case of them having a good start and then losing the lead? But they didn't let it affect them. They got back 2-1 Tarkowski and then sealed the game with Calvert-Lewin. And Brentford, they've played well this season, but there's got to be a bit of a worry. They haven't won since the second game of the season against Fulham. They've had some nice fixtures where they haven't been able to, at home to Bournemouth, haven't got over the line. And for all their good play, one win this season, there's got to be a bit of an alarm bell ringing there. Yeah. Still only 13, so it's not too bad, but 2 losses in a row now. It's not a fantastic situation, but they're just begging for Tony to come back as soon as possible.
Yeah, Arsenal up next as well.
Arsenal up more in the cup.
Is it the cup?
Yeah, because Arsenal.
Oh, they got in the cup. Yeah. All right. Next up is Burnley against Manchester United at Turf Moor. It finished 1-0 to Manchester United. Tim went 3-1. I went 2-1, both to Man U. So we both gained a point for this one. First and foremost, what a goal. What a goal from Bruno Fernandes. Johnny Evans channeling his inner Kevin De Bruyne with a lovely ball over the top, and Bruno Fernandes on the volley just smashes it home. And that was like the only real piece of quality that we saw from Manchester United throughout the game. I thought Burnley, especially in the first half, were putting Man U under pressure. Koleosho was playing really well on the wing, and I thought Burnley should have done better with a couple of their chances, to be fair, but Man United are the only ones that could put the ball in the back of the net with the real piece of quality that their captain brought them on the day. And you're looking at the Man U lineup at the start of this game and you're thinking, what the hell? How have this lot spent 750 million or even more, close to 900 million in the past 5 years, and they have to put out a team like that? And I was like, what is going on here? Reguilon at the back, Johnny Evans at centre-back. Even though Johnny Evans had a great game, like, I just don't understand how they're putting out such a poor side.
They've just got crazy injuries at the moment, Man United, so understand that. But Hannibal had a great game. He came in and I think he was one of the best players on the pitch, to be fair. But I wouldn't say Man United got away with one, but it's still not overly impressive. I still think, didn't create too many chances. They obviously had the moment of quality for Bruno, which was an outstanding goal, but they did get away with a bit because Amdouni hit the post in the first half. He had a header as well, which forced a great save out of Onana. They were clinging on a bit, I felt, right at the end of the game. Burnley were really putting on a bit of pressure. And Burnley, to be fair, look, playing even against a depleted United side, the way Burnley been playing, they had 12 shots, they had 62% possession, which you never would have thought Burnley would have against Man United. So they gave a good account of themselves, but again, just missing that real quality up front to make the difference. Man United, I think it will be good for them just to stop that losing run, because there's 4 losses in a row in all competitions. So they needed to end that and to get a good away win as well. But I wouldn't come away with that if even I was a Man United fan thinking, we're back on track. It was just like, it was good to stop the rot, but sometimes it takes just a game like this to stop the rot, but it wasn't a great performance still.
I thought Burnley were well worth a point, at least in this game, at least. So let's move on to the North London derby. It finished 2-2 at the Emirates. Sim went for 3-2 to Spurs. I went for 2-1 to Spurs. And you know what? It should have been 3-2 to Spurs, in my opinion, because I thought Spurs really tried to lay gloves on Arsenal in that second half. Arsenal didn't really have any answers apart from in the last 5-10 minutes when Son and Maddison went off, but it was a really good game of football. It pretty much had everything from sending off decisions that weren't given from Nketiah, VAR calls, penalties, goals, atmosphere. I mean, it was a real derby, this one. And Arsenal will probably be very disappointed with the way they played, and Spurs walk away with their heads held high.
Yeah, considering it's so early on in Postecoglou's tenure, I think you've got to be happy with a really good point and a really good performance. The fact that they came to the Emirates and played their football, and even though at times it looked like they were going to get unstuck, they stuck with the game plan and they ended up excelling in the game and probably had control of the game in that second half. So really promising from Spurs. All the talk about who they played, well, they went to the Emirates and played a good game and earned a very good point. And I think it was a really good, even game. And as you say, a proper North London derby. Moments of quality from Heung-min Son, getting a brace on the day, taking his goal tally to 5 goals. And Arsenal, you probably say a tad fortunate with some of their goals, own goal and a controversial penalty as well. But they'll probably feel like with some of the chances they missed in that first half, they were unlucky not to have more on the score sheet. But I think at the end of the day, both teams probably come away happy with a point.
Yeah, well, happy and disappointed.
Yeah, both.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it? It's a weird feeling because I think both teams probably feel the same. But like Spurs did start the game really nervy and were just giving away chance after chance, like out of our own doing. But once we settled in the game, I thought we were by far the better team. Moving on to the Amex, as Brighton beat Bournemouth by 3-1. Sim went for 4-2, so he gains a point, and I went for 3-1. So the first 5-pointer of the weekend goes my way. And look, Bournemouth take the lead through Dominic Solanke, and they could have scored a few more, to be honest, in the first half. It finishes 1-1 at half-time for an own goal through Kirkez. But I think Brighton just stamped their authority in that second half. Mitoma coming on for Evan Ferguson at half-time, and Mitoma did what Mitoma does. Unbelievable in that second half.
Goal within 16 seconds of the restart, even though it was a Bournemouth kickoff as well. I think the killer for Bournemouth, even though they had a great first half, they pounced on a really bad mistake from the Brighton keeper, played it straight to Solanke, and he put it in the empty net. But the killer for Bournemouth after a really good first half was right. It was literally on the stroke of half-time. They conceded the goal really undeservedly, and that probably gave Brighton a bit of momentum going to that second half. And once they made the changes, it was only one-way traffic, and they deserved the victory. Although De Zerbi, after the game, said it was one of the worst displays he's ever had as Brighton manager. So he wasn't very happy, but it shows the high standards he's setting for himself and for Brighton. But they carry on. They're going they're really strong, even though they lost in midweek to Athens in the Europa League. Third in the league after 5 wins out of 6. So still playing great football as well, still scoring the goals. And they showed they've got the talent off the bench as well to come on and change the game. Fatty and Mitoma coming on at half-time and completely changing the game. And you saw what Mitoma can do. Was a great goal, I thought, the opening goal. Really good prodded home. Really good team move as well. Got a header in the second half. So Brighton going really strong. Bournemouth as well, though, yet to win a game. For all their positive football and good start, it's still they've drawn 3 out of 6. It's not been horrific, but no wins. Although it's been a difficult start, it's got to be a tad concerning.
Yeah, it is concerning, but I think like their remit this season is to stay in this league, and there are teams below them. They're not in the relegation spots just yet, but they got a big fight on their hands to stay in this league, and I don't think that anyone would have thought it would have been any different, to be honest. I think a relegation battle, if they stay in the Premier League, that's a good season for them.
I think as well, maybe once they get their first win, you might see the confidence start to flow through the side a bit more. I think a new manager, they're still trying to find their way a bit, and they're not finding it as easy as maybe they hoped.
But with De Zerbi saying that's his worst performance, we know how De Zerbi reacts to bad performances. I fear for whoever they're playing next.
Villa away.
Well, I was going to say Chelsea in the Cup.
Oh, Chelsea in the Cup. Okay, there you go.
But either way, I think they're going to give whoever Chelsea a nice little pounding because of that.
I don't think Chelsea need any more encouragement.
Let's move on to Chelsea now. And as I get my first 5-pointer, Sim hits straight back with a 5-pointer. 1-0 to Aston Villa at Stamford Bridge. Sim went for 1-0. I went for 2-0. So Sim gets 5 points. I get 1 point for this game. And I don't think this was a 1-0 game, to be honest. Credit to Aston Villa for getting the 3 points. Ollie Watkins getting his first goal of the season. But I felt Chelsea just missed so many gilt-edged chances with Jackson, Sterling. There were a couple more in there as well, which evade my mind. But they got in behind Villa quite a few times and just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And I feel like Chelsea, they're not like playing as bad as their results suggest, in my opinion. They're getting a lot of chances and they just can't seem to finish their dinner. And I feel like once they do get a proper number 9 in there and someone that can finish their chances, results will change.
It's just copy and paste, I think, from last week. Like, literally every week we're saying the same thing with Chelsea. Not playing badly, creating chances, but getting unstuck. Their finishing's been really poor. I think, look, to be honest, you can probably copy and paste for the last year, because it was the same thing under Potter as well.
Yeah.
Some nice football, can't finish their chances, and at the end of the day, they just don't have the defence which is strong enough to hold the result. I feel for Pochettino a bit, because he's been given such a difficult job to integrate so many players, and they're playing decent football at times, but I feel like once they miss a few chances in that first half, they lose confidence. I always feel like their second halves aren't as good as their first halves, and I feel like the first half they come flying up the traps, they look confident, but then then it seems as like they miss a few chances, all of a sudden their heads drop a bit, it seems like they're not working, they get the opposition gain confidence, and they always end up conceding a goal. It was a nice finish from Watkins, but Sanchez got to look at himself because it went through his legs from a tight angle, and he'd be a bit disappointed. And he made a couple of good saves throughout the game, but Martinez was probably man of the match. That goes to show how unlucky Chelsea were. But Nick Jackson has 5 yellow cards now, so he'll miss the next game. And 5 yellow cards and 1 goal, I think it is for him so far this season.
Getting sent off as well. What did you make out of that decision?
I think it was a bad challenge. Again, I think the referee gave a yellow, and I don't know if VAR should be going back and giving it a red. I think a red was a fair decision to us. I think it was a really bad challenge, but I don't think it was bad enough for VAR to say it was a clear and obvious error. So I think it's a bit unlucky on that front, but it's a horrible challenge.
I'm looking at those two decisions, Malo Gusto's red card and Nketiah's non-red card, and I'm looking at it and I'm like thinking Nketiah's was so much worse than Malo Gusto. I'm like, what are they doing?
I agree. I think it was a worse challenge. I don't know why VAR is getting involved in that one and not the other. But Chelsea, another defeat. And look, as much as you want to give it a project, you want to give it time and all these different things, and that's true and it's probably fair, he can't keep losing like this. Like, he's going to have to turn results sooner rather than later. He can't like go into December on a string of losses and in a relegation battle, because he'll just never last. So,
but what are they doing? What are they doing next game with no Nick Jackson and Nkunku's injured, no Reece James, no Malo Gusto? I mean, they've spent £1 billion and they can't field the team.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. And at the moment, it's just the same thing as Potter. Like, nothing's changed. So you just begs the question why the hell they changed it. But look, he's going to need time, Pochettino, but he seems to be getting a bit nervous. I'm looking at his demeanour. He does not look happy, but I'm guessing it's just the results, isn't it?
It feels like his demeanour is like his demeanour in the last few weeks of his Spurs job. That's what it feels like.
Already feels defeated.
Yeah.
But they actually are in relegation form, though, like crazy. In the last year, Chelsea, I think, have won 6 games in the last literally 38 Premier League games. So it's crazy how bad their form is. 1
win all season. That's come against Luton. So,
and if that's their form over a sustained period of time, like, who's to say it's going to dramatically change? Who knows?
Well, you would think, like, with Poch, it is only his 6th game. You would think, like, the more he grills in his tactical kind of ways of playing, you would think they would get better second half of the season. But,
yeah, you like to think so, but will he make it at this point?
I think so.
It's uncertain. It's uncertain at this point. Will he make it to the second half of the season? I don't think anyone can 100% confidently say he will at this point.
I mean, if, like I keep saying, if they're smart, they stick with him.
Yeah, I agree. Even down to the championship.
Even down to the championship. If they get relegated, they still got to stick with it. But let's move on to Anfield as Liverpool beat West Ham 3-1. Sim went for 3-0. I went for 3-1. So I hit straight back with another 5-pointer. Sim gets 1 point on the board. And I thought it was a really deserved victory for Liverpool in this game. Mo Salah scoring from the penalty spot. Darwin Núñez getting a goal, and Diego Jota right at the end sealing the win. I mean, Darwin Núñez, he misses such a gilt-edged chance and then puts away the goal that he scored. It's just like, that is Darwin Núñez in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Like, what a volley that was. Like, what a goal. But only 10 minutes before that, he's missing like such a sitter. And also Jarrod Bowen's goal. I thought that was brilliant, that low diving header to see the back of the net. But Liverpool showing their credentials once again.
Yeah, look, to be fair, West Ham did have their chances, didn't they? They probably, Antonio should have scored in the first half. Souček had forced a great save out of Alisson. And so Liverpool could have been 1 or 2 down before they scored. They did get a penalty, probably against a run of play, but I thought from that point on, Liverpool did take control. And actually, West Ham equalised against a run of play when they equalised. And then Liverpool, I thought in that second half, it was literally all Liverpool. They suffocated West Ham. They created the good quality chances. Szoboszlai and McAllister Leicester are playing some really amazing football at the moment. Those two are going under the radar, how influential they're going to be for Liverpool. And look, Liverpool now, it's 18 games unbeaten in the Premier League. And for all the chances, everyone talks about their defence. Surprising Saturday, they're their second best defence in the league at the moment, second to City. So, I mean,
How many they conceded?
5 goals in the first 6 games. So, look, they have conceded, I think, they haven't kept many clean sheets. They have conceded like 1 each game or something like that. But their attack is just so incredible that you can't stop them from scoring at the moment, and they're really getting back in their groove. I think something really is happening at Liverpool at the moment. I think, and it's 3-1, another win, another convincing win as well in my book. So fair play to Liverpool. And now Tottenham next. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
You just wait till Mickey van der Ven and Coutinho Romero get a hold of that Liverpool attack. Then you're going to see who's going to be stopped. But let's move on to the last game of the weekend, which was Sheffield United 0, Newcastle United 8 at Bramall Lane. Unbelievable game, to be honest. We both went for 1-0 scoreline here, so we both get a point on the board, but this was shocking from Sheffield United. It really was. They essentially gave up halfway through this game, and some of the goals that Newcastle scored should never be getting scored in the Premier League. They really shouldn't. I mean, there was one, I can't remember who scored it, but he just literally just ran through the heart of their midfield. Almiron. And no Sheffield United player were following him. No one tried to make a challenge, and that kind of epitomized the defense of Sheffield United throughout the game, because they were embarrassing, man. They really were embarrassing.
Yeah, and it's really strange, because they had those performances against City and Spurs where they were really defensively solid. So hard to break down. Obviously, they end up losing still, but they're like really close to getting points in those games with solid defensive display. And in this game, they just capitulated from minute 1. It was really, really strange to see. 3-0 down by half time, also conceding goals from set pieces, which you don't associate Sheffield United with as well. And that second half was disgraceful, absolute disgrace. It was one of those games where every shot did seem to go in, like it for Newcastle. It did seem to happen, although they did have other chances through Wilson, who could have bagged even more in that first half especially. But I also felt like Newcastle maybe taking out a bit of their frustration of the season so far, because they haven't had the best start, albeit they beat Villa 5-1. Since then, the performances haven't been so good. But it's been a good week for them, a good waypoint in San Siro, an 8-0 win against Sheffield United, incredible win for them, and maybe signs of them starting to get back to their best, maybe starting to get their act together a bit. We'll have to wait and see, but great week for them.
Are we looking at maybe the first manager that's going to be sacked this season, Heckingbottom?
Or one of the oddest things he said after that game is he said, "Oh, these results will happen. You have to expect these results." I'm like, mate, you lost 8-0. What do you mean you expect these results? What is that about? You can't be saying that if you're in the Premier League and looking to stay up. You have to expect these results. I know Bournemouth lost 9-0 and stayed up, so obviously you can't just write them off straight away just because of that result. But I mean, that's such a strange thing to say. Surely you got to have higher standards than that.
Yeah, you have to. You can't lose 8-0, especially at home. It's absolutely ridiculous. But he's been given the dreaded vote of confidence today by the board.
He's got one more game, probably.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So if they get battered, who have they got next?
Sheffield United.
If they get battered in the next game, or even if they lose
West Ham away.
Game, you see, it's a hard game.
Very hard game.
So if they lose convincingly in that game, do you reckon he's gone?
If they get a bad loss, by 3 or more goals, I would say there's a good chance he's leaving, yeah.
Well, we might be looking at our first managerial casualty of the season, but let's talk about the star men. Both of us getting 0 points on the board here. Sim went for Marcus Rashford, and I thought he was poor, really poor in that Burnley game.
He was terrible. I was really I'm not angry because I wanted United to drop points, but he was just atrocious. He didn't do anything during the game, and he had all that space to play, and he did nothing with it. And what's annoys me about Rashford is he's so good when he's running at defenders and when he's looking to score, but when he's trying to link play and create chances for his teammates, he's terrible. He's a very selfish player.
And I went for Brian and Mbeumo at home to Everton, and again, Brentford were just so poor. There was nothing in there for Mbeumo throughout the 90 minutes, to be honest. So 0 points on the board for the star men. We finished this week 82 points to Sim, 87 points to me. I think this is the first week that the leader hasn't changed.
Stayed, yeah. So, last week I would say.
Make of that what you will. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you believe with Sim this is the last week that the last week the leader's going to change of the season?
No, it hasn't changed. It's going to change next week, believe me.
All right, we'll see you all very soon. Let me know your thoughts of the weekend's action in the comment section below, and we'll see you next time.